Hi, I just traveled across the country to go see Chop. It's weird. So I decided to go and travel the Chop because we can't get any honest reporting on either side of the political spectrum. You either have one side pretty much saying it's a little utopia, nothing bad ever happens there, and then the whole other side saying it's just warlords and terrible shit happening 24/7. So I figured I'd go and figure out for myself. Okay, as this goes on, I'm sure I'll be more comfortable on camera. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go through my day there in chronological order. I'm going to explain the positives I saw about Chop, and I'm going to explain the negatives that I saw about Chop. Any sort of video that I show in this video, it's going to be rather long videos, and it's all going to have context within them, nothing just chopped on up. That was a pun, actually. So, Thursday, June 25th, I land in Seattle around 8 p.m. I get on the monorail, and then I start walking to my hotel. On my way to the hotel, I saw this homeless guy that looked jacked up. He had cast on his arm, bandages here, asked him if he needed any help, gave him $20. I start asking and go, hey man, what happened? Turns out he's one of the guys that got shot around Chop 3 days prior. So I'm sitting there like, this is destiny. He ended up giving me an interview and explaining the whole situation when it came to his particular shooting. I ended up not filming it out of respect for him, and you'll see when it comes to a lot of the interviews that I did, a lot of people were a lot more comfortable talking to me as long as I wasn't filming. So I don't know if that destroys my credibility with some of the stuff, but this is what happened. So there were 4 shootings overall. I'm going to comment on the other 3 shootings towards the end of the video. Sadly, Mike is homeless and addicted to meth. So we went into Chop in order to buy meth from a meth dealer, and this is kind of how the conversation went. Hey, I'll give you my tent if you give me some meth. Oh, so you're going to give me all of your shit? No, I think I specifically just said the tent. And then there was a fight. Mike said he won the fight. Then the meth dealer pulled out a gun, threatened him with the gun. Mike left. While he was leaving, he was like, there's no way that guy's going to shoot me. So he came back, and then the guy shot him. So one of the 4 shootings already we know is a drug deal gone bad, nothing to do with the overall protest. So around 11, I start trying to walk the perimeter of Chop and see what's going on there at night, see if I can film anything on the inside. Not very many cars at all, and I happen to see the same 5 cars constantly going around the block. So I wasn't really sure if that was people watching the perimeter. 2 of them had tinted windows, and both of those cars stopped and checked me out. So me not knowing what I was getting into at that point, I was just not going to go in there at night. The next morning, I'm deciding to go in there. I get there around 8:30, but something happened around 5 a.m. For context, after the Juneteenth shootings, the organizers of the morning protest and the mayor got together and decided that they were going to have the protest now from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Problem is, you have all these people expecting for everything to start at 8 a.m., but the city shows up with a bunch of bulldozers and a bunch of police officers at 5 a.m. trying to take away all the cement blocks that are bordering the area. Luckily for the group of people there, a lot of homeless people stay there, and a fair amount of protesters stay overnight as well. So a bunch of them actually got on the ground and prevented the bulldozers from coming in, because in order to do so, you would have literally had to run them over. That allowed some of the de facto leaders of the area to negotiate with the city for a 72-hour moratorium period. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of that period. By the time this video comes out, it's pretty much going to be the day of that period. I show up around 8:30 a.m., and I'm going to be honest, the first 3 minutes of being there, not good. Immediately when I get there, I look to my left, and there's this mentally ill homeless man burning a jacket and demanding that I take a picture of him. Here's the picture. So that was weird. Then this burly-looking white guy came over with his pistol drawn, ran that homeless guy off, put the fire out. I ended up asking him for an interview. He told me to go fuck myself, and then I went on with my day. Immediately after that, I walked a little bit further to the area in which they have that field, and there was a group of 5 men surrounding this one fella, accusing him of some sort of wrongdoing. The man in the red shirt was the one being accused. He ends up walking away, and that's when the shirtless gentleman right here took a 40-ounce Budweiser bottle and cracked it over his skull. At this point, I'm like, this is going to be a rough day. The red shirt man leaves CHOP. I go after him to get an interview, and I learn that he is also a mentally ill homeless man, and I'm making that judgment based on this video here.
God's blood is on me. Hey, Muhammad, right? Prophet Muhammad, just like Jesus, they do it. But let me tell you, I feel no pain. I'm not going to pick a fucking finger up, because I'm, what? Supposed to just be chilling.
Well, what happened back there? I saw them hit
Oh, just they're gooning and ruining. The big Ethiopian one that didn't touch me knows that I'm the last messenger. He's Solomon reincarnated, but he's young. He's all right. It's the other niggas that cracked me with a bottle. I laughed. I could have picked up the blades one by one and sliced all their lives, and they would have all, Solomon would have went to heaven, but the rest.
All right, man. So, I'm quickly learning there's a lot of homeless people here. I go around the perimeter of CHOP talking to a couple of just civilians who aren't there to protest at all. I explain the situation to them, and they actually explain to me that the homeless violence is nothing different. That occurs all the time in Seattle. It's just kind of concentrated in this one area because there's a lot of homeless people coming and getting free food. So I guess this is when I should try to explain the population of CHOP and how it's really structured out before I go any further. There are a lot of mentally ill homeless people there. You have a lot of legitimate protesters and activists who actually have sound policies and ideas and what to implement to end police brutality and the school-to-prison pipeline and all of that. There's probably about 30 to 40 people there that you can actually sit down with and have a great conversation, and those tend to be the people that are sort of molding into a leadership position. There's a lot of passerbys throughout the day that come in and out. A lot of them are just there to check out the artwork. They want to come out and support and give their bodies up for a little while to the movement. Some of them are just there for Instagram pics, let's be honest. I saw a lot of that. And you have a ton of people that are there that, if you get past their fundamental surface idea of fuck the system, you can't really have a good conversation with these people because they don't know what they're talking about in the slightest. And they actually kind of get upset with you if you try to dig deeper into their ideology or thought process of what can happen because they don't actually have any ideas. Luckily, there's like 30 to 40 really smart people there that have some ideas, and they're the ones talking to the mayor, mostly. Sometimes you'll have these other people get into those meetings, and then it kind of goes off the rails. The 30 or so people who are garnering some sort of influence within the community and slowly becoming a leader, because there's no real leaders in the thing. They're going, oh, there's no organization. But you can tell some people have garnered respect in the area, and that comes with when there's maybe some sort of violence, they're the ones that go in and prevent everybody from doing it. They're beginning to do a pretty good job keeping peace. People actually listen to them. Like I said, a lot of the issue with violence comes from mentally ill homeless people. There's a lot of people now, especially after the shootings, that are on high alert for that kind of stuff and preventing it from occurring. The homeless man that committed the assault earlier in the day actually was committing a second assault later in the day where he tried to hit a man with a 2x4 and he was chasing him out of the CHOP zone. This time, a lot of people other than me saw this occurring as he was screaming this man out of CHOP. And a lot of them came over, including the security that they have. They have like 5 people that they consider their security. They came over, stopped him in his tracks from doing that. They pretty much just came over and threatened removal from the community of him. They said, you can't be continuously doing this. You're making everything look bad. Talking to people there was an issue before these people were able to calm people down, where if someone came in and recorded the violent homeless people, then they would then get aggressive towards the people that were filming because they're going, hey man, why are you filming this homeless guy? Everyone's going to think this is all the protesters. and then they would attack that guy. There's one man in particular that's allowing me to use his name. His name is David Lewis. He is becoming to be a very influential person within the community. People are literally coming to him with all information that they find. There was a fella in there filming everything, and 3 people up on a barricade were shouting down to David, saying, "Hey, he's filming, what do we do?" And David said, "You're not going to be able to stop him from filming, man, just let it happen." So he and a couple other people who don't want me to use their names specifically are doing a pretty decent job right now preventing violence from occurring, from what I'm seeing throughout my day there. And the only violence that I saw that day came within that time period of 8:30 to 9 a.m., talking to the civilians around Seattle, not in CHOP. Apparently, homeless people are pretty violent there anyway. Now you just have this concentration of them there, and it's something that's kind of difficult to handle sometimes. There was only one other situation later in the day, probably around noon, where there was another homeless man that seemed like he could have got violent with somebody, and the way this was handled is typically the way that it's handled usually. It's not too hard to get them to stop. Here's a video of that.
I'll put it all the way up and I'll eat it. I'm here to finish what TG started. I'm here to finish what TG started. You guys ain't punks. You guys, I'm pulling my guitar out and I'm playing out. Tommy punks, fuck off. I got a portable amp. There are more base skaters united around the world against New World Order than you bitch ass Mimi punk bitches. There's more base skaters all over the world to fight it. Based skateboarders around the world. You can kill me, easy. One more, I'll die.
Stop being a fucking fool.
So a lot of the time it's just some mentally ill fella yelling, and then if you just call him a tool, he stops. Like I was saying, I met a lot of people in CHOP that give me a fair amount of hope that this whole thing is able to stay peaceful the more everything isn't decentralized and you have a smaller group of people with some authority over others. Some of the people gaining influence throughout the community there actually gave me a good tour. I got a tour of the infamous garden. Apparently they're in talks with the city to keep that garden there permanently to feed homeless people and be sort of a communal garden even after CHOP is dissolved. Their hope is to get a bunch of grants or donations given to them and then start multiple communal gardens where homeless people can come, take food whenever they need to, and then anyone else that wants to come, they can take it for free, but they would hope that people would give donations. I think that's a really cool idea, and that's really all I'll say on that. Around 2 p.m., the chief of the fire department came in to just talk with people. There was a big crowd that occurred around him, and this is some video that I got from that.
What group that is, or we need to get in the
SDOT.
room?
Oh,
No, not
okay.
SDOT, on the community side.
It's not a who, it's a where and when. Set up a QA in the field.
I'm just trying to answer the question.
I understand, sir. I'm listening.
I'm just trying to answer the question.
I'm
So
listening.
if you tell me who that is or what collective group that is, then that's the connection we're trying to make. The last thing we want is miscommunication, confusion, and clearly you're right. So I've been here in the morning, then the afternoon, and in the early evenings. I've been here all throughout. I'm just trying to figure it out.
I
If I
understand.
had some consistency, if we had some consistency, I think we're going to be in a better space. If that's you, that's
A lot
great.
of people don't understand when it's because this is a decentralized protest, and a lot of people don't understand. Well, who are the leaders? And they keep asking that question. What people do need to understand is that Black leaders in these movements have historically been targeted when they come out and they identify themselves. It happened in Ferguson 5 years ago. A lot of the people who were leading the protest in Ferguson within the next couple of years mysteriously came up dead or disappeared. This is public factual information. The same thing happened during the civil rights movement. Okay, COINTELPRO, they murdered a lot of our leaders. And so one of the ways of protecting ourselves is being decentralized.
No, I understand.
And so I need people to understand there is a reason people are not coming forward and saying, hey, I'm a leader here, okay, because we are in danger. A person, DeJuan Young, was shot just right up the block leaving CHOP by 4 white males who called him the N-word. They shot him, then they stood over him and shot him 4 more times. So we are under threat. So it's not about identifying individuals and telling you these are the individuals who are in charge, because we're not going to do that because we are in danger.
I get threatened every night.
What we want to do is to meet as a group, and the way that we make decisions here, like we have a people's assembly here on the park every day at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
That is a space where you all can come and talk to us. We can arrange it. We can arrange the time and disseminate the information to people so that they will show up, so that there will actually be a consensus of people here to talk. What we're not going to do is to identify and name people and put them in danger. That is just not going to happen.
Okay.
But there are ways to still have a conversation. We still have clear channels of communication amongst ourselves. And so I'm going to ask you all to separate yourselves from the thought that we're going to name 1 or 2 people and tell you they're the leaders. That's not going to happen because we need to protect ourselves. But what we can do is make sure that we come together as a community and have a conversation with you all.
Okay.
And that's what I want you to understand.
And I'm working hard to understand the
Okay.
phase that we're in right now.
Okay.
So,
And I wonder if there is a way that we can. I'm with Black Collective Voice. It's a group that grew out
you
of
can
CHOP.
always,
I have your
you
number.
Can, yeah, you can
That's fine.
always
He's
reach
with
out
Black
to me.
Collective Voice,
You know?
and what we could do is to facilitate setting up a meeting where we are here as a community, but nobody is going to put themselves in a position to speak on behalf of the community without, it's a community. It's a community decision, and we need y'all to talk to us as a community. We need people like SDOT to not show up at 7 o'clock in the morning, wake up somebody that's sleeping outside the precinct, and then say, we talk to leaders at CHOP. That's not appropriate. It's misinformation. So,
Okay, then you know how to reach out to me. We can figure out how to make the connection happen. I want it to be productive.
yes.
So sometimes when there's a large crowd and everyone's yelling, that's not a productive conversation.
And one thing that
So we really want it to be a place where whoever the collective is, there can be
facilitators to help,
Yeah.
and we can make that happen.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say also that I know that the fire department is aware of, even though this is a space where we have not wanted the police department, we have been friendly to fire department the whole time. We have allowed you all to put in the barricades so that you all can have access through here. Fire department, other city services, that's not where our problem is. Even in protests that have happened downtown at Westlake on the first day of protest, when people were in the street, I was down there. I cleared the street for the fire department to come in and get someone. Right? They weren't putting fires out. There was a person who fell sick down there and the fire was coming. Everybody moved out of the way. There is no disrespect to the fire department. The fire department should not feel under any kind of threat. And I think our behavior has shown that. So we would love to converse.
And that's important that I try to communicate what they did to us. You know, our people were here. We had communicated what the plan was. We thought that we were adhering to the plan. And even when people were banging on the doors over on Broadway and some of them had assault rifles, they didn't turn around and leave. They stayed right there because that's what our dispatchers are communicating with. So it's not normal for us to drive a vehicle into a large crowd of people to try to pick people. That's not what we normally do. So we were trying to adhere to what we had said we would do. So I look forward to the conversation.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I appreciate.
And I just need to know who needs to be in the room. I mean,
It's not a room, it's a field.
or
Wait.
Whatever it
We'll
is.
work out the
whatever
details.
it is. So who needs to be in the space that can actually have a constructive conversation? I mean, clearly this
You
isn't
mean
my space.
from the city
Yeah,
or
from the
agencies?
community, the city, to have an actual honest conversation. Clearly this isn't the space that I operate in, that I find myself in right now, but I want to try to get the right people in the room.
Okay.
Or in the space, or wherever it is.
Yeah.
I actually do not know who the woman is that was talking to the fire chief, but, I mean, she does give a little bit of context on why they're worried about having clarified leaders within the movement. A lot of people there were extremely discouraged that the city sent the fire chief instead of the police chief. They think it's just kind of a PR move in that situation, and nothing's going to get done. Throughout the day, you don't see too many organized events or structural things going on. It's often just groups of anywhere from 4 to 10 people talking about things that they think would help out. and ways to help the community and policies to root for. The problem with that is kind of the way that the population is structured out, like I mentioned earlier. There's 70% of the people, like 70 to 75% of the people, don't really have any ideas other than the system is fucked up. So it's just a lot of people saying that over and over and over again. There's a lot of people who just sit around and say, fuck capitalism. I personally don't believe we live in a capitalist system, considering that we subsidize big companies and we keep bailing out big companies. In my mind, a free market would not allow for that kind of thing, so we don't actually live in a capitalist system. But if you try to explain that to anyone there in order to further a conversation, they're not happy with you, and they do get kind of mad. Regardless of how well the leaders in the area do at sort of preventing violence at this point, there's always that chance of tensions being really high, something happening, and then people kind of following a little mob getting mad at somebody. An example of that throughout the day was a situation where yet another mentally ill homeless man broke into the police precinct. Now, one of the firm rules that the police gave with this whole thing is, hey, don't go in the police precinct. We will come and arrest you. So they got him on camera breaking into the precinct, and about 15 minutes later, a couple cops showed up and took him away. Now, when they took him away, he wasn't anywhere near the police precinct, and people just saw cops take a guy away. Hey, so I'm going to go on a limb here and say you noticed the different framing, lighting, and possibly different sound quality at this moment, and that's because I'm unprofessional. Turns out I left the charger to the camera I was using to record everything up to this point on the plane, so shit. And I'm not going to wait several days until a new charger comes in to finish this video. So here we are. Alright, where was I? So, mentally ill man breaks into the police precinct. Police say, hey, that's like the one thing we're going to come and arrest you for. Then he gets arrested. Everyone at this point is getting pretty upset. They're talking about going and marching on the jail in which they're going to be taking him, because that strategy has worked in the past, and it got about 6 other people out of jail several days prior to that. There were 2 gentlemen that were next to me who were also visiting the place for the first time that day. One of them asked me if they should tell the mob that was starting to form up that they were wrong and that the man was rightfully arrested. I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. You should just continue shutting the fuck up like I'm doing and not say anything. Because like I said, the leaders are doing a pretty good job at preventing violence, but there's always like that, you're always kind of like worried if you go against like the general idea of the people in there that something could happen. Everything was calmed down within about 10-15 minutes. There was a group that said they were going to be going out to the jail to protest in front of it. I'm not sure if they ever did. I didn't follow up with them. Shortly after that, a lot of the community was going to go to a meeting with the mayor, and a lot of people started handing out a little piece of paper with the actual demands from CHOP. A lot of the community organizers wanted to push the meeting off since they had that 72-hour moratorium period. That way they could go ahead and get things more organized. The city council really pushed to have the meeting that day. A few of the people within the community that actually have some sort of influence and could have a productive meeting with the mayor ended up not going out of the principle of the mayor not live streaming the event. Before the meeting, I witnessed a verbal conflict. This is when I learned some of the contextual drama that's going on. There's groups of people that are focusing strictly on the police brutality because they think if they focus on that one thing, it's more likely that they can get all that stuff pushed through instead of being very broad with the movement. And then there's a bunch of people who would consider themselves socialist, anarcho-communist, and any other sort of anarchist that you could think of. From talking to people, it seems like that group wants to sort of hijack off the police brutality and just push to get everything at once. There's a debate going on if that's just too broad of a thing going on right now, and by having it so broad, you're limiting the amount of success you can have in negotiations. The people that were more talking about socialistic ideas, they tend to not have as much influence throughout the whole community. And a couple of them were getting kind of mad throughout the day because they didn't feel like their voice was being heard. And after all of that is when I learned that there is a narrative going through the community that David is actually implemented by the city in order to be a counter-revolutionary to the overall movement. The socialists that felt like their view wasn't being heard as much are the ones that told me that. So I don't know what to take by that. From what I'm told by the vast majority of people there, David's been there since day one. So I don't know how credible their claims are, especially since it just seems like a bunch of butthurt people who aren't having as much influence as they wish they would have in the movement. But that's just my personal opinion looking at it at first glance. The meeting with the mayor was largely unproductive, I was told, and after that there were a number of speeches. I'm just going to show the speeches in their full context and start wrapping things up afterwards. The first one is a 21-year-old fellow that was doing a large amount of the security throughout the day and actually keeping things relatively peaceful. And here we are.
The way that they got the message is when the whole world gathered together and realized that Black people's lives matter, is that we all started to do it. When you only had one group of people doing it, it wasn't being heard. When you had a different group of people doing it, it wasn't being heard. But when the groups all come together and start doing it, how can you ignore it? You can't ignore this, you feel me? So now we have the whole world. Listen, the whole world. We don't only have a state, we don't have a couple states, we have the whole world. People will start flying from wherever they live to come out here. And that's what we have to do. We have to get as much people out here. We have to get the other states to start doing this, occupying their precincts. How do you want to lock down a precinct? How do you want to stop the police from working and running a legal operation of like taking drugs off the street and putting it back on the street and shit like that? You stop them. You just hold on to their precinct. You let them just like go find somewhere else to go work. You feel me? That's the only way to do it, guys. And I want everybody to make that message be heard. I want everybody to take swing. Just go. Have a good day, guys. Just know, every morning now, you should be awake around 5. If you live here, you should be awake at 5 o'clock in the morning. The reason why you should be awake at 5 o'clock in the morning is these people are sneaky as fuck. This morning they ran through here with probably like 700 trucks and like forklifts to move these cement blocks. The reason why these cement blocks are here is because they put them here. We didn't put these here, guys. You know what I mean? When CHOP started, there was nothing in the streets but all barricades. They put these here. The reason why they put these here is because they realized if there's something like this in the street, they could come back in here and take it out. You know what I mean? And some people will be like, oh, okay, come back in and take them out. And that's just a way for them to invade the space. You should never, ever compromise when you're in the lead. If you start with $1, you keep that dollar and let it grow. You have $1 and give that man 50 cents, you're losing. We gave them a piece of this when they came in here and put these barricades in. And then this week they came in here to negotiate with us and tell us to move down some of our barricades that we're stopping. You know what I mean? They're like, let's move those down. Let's move that one over there on 11 and Oliver. You know what I mean? Because they feel like we're negotiating with them, guys. They feel like we're like people just understand. No, we don't understand killers, bro. We don't understand criminals. Those are the real criminals. You feel me? They don't talk to us when they're like throwing us in a cop car and beating the shit out of us because they don't understand us. Because when they say we're criminals, you feel me? We have the power. Those are the criminals right there, guys. That's what you guys have to realize. And when y'all start realizing that, this protest, this whole place will run a lot better. This place will move easier. People will come out here and realize that those people are and only the bad guys. We're the good people here, guys. These barricades are not for us. These barricades are not for us. Good people that come in here to donate to this cause. Donation not meaning money, but your time is a donation. You being here, your energy, you just coming, talking to someone and helping someone out is a donation to this. Bringing your peaceful self here is a donation to this. You feel me? Thank you for coming out here every day and donating some of your time. Like, I love to see that I have black people in the street selling and making money. That's what you guys are supposed to support. You're supposed to support black-owned business inside of here because anywhere shit down. You feel me? So we have to realize who's really, you know what's wrong from right. You know how the world is supposed to be run. You know that the world is humankind. You know what I mean? You guys are human. You know, humankind. Like, you guys got all your rights. Your human rights. It's called like human rights. You got your human rights from one person. You know, whoever you believe in that's above you. Whoever you believe in, bro. That's who you got your human rights from. A man that's bleeding with you did not give you your human rights. Someone that was born out of the womb, that out of the same type of womb you was born out of, did not give you your human rights. They did not. They can't tell you when to go home. They can't tell you what to eat. They can't tell you how to live your life. They can't tell you what's wrong and what's right because they did not create your human rights. Your human rights was created by one person that you believe in, if you believe in that person. You feel me? Thank you guys for like gathering, and I just want you guys to understand that we gotta change this whole thing. Do you remember when this shit started? There was thousands of people in the street. Now it's 3 weeks in, I'm seeing, I can count how many people is here. That is a problem. Tell your friends, tell your family's friends. If you feel like you can do something in this community, we have people, I need black people to come out here and stand on the line with me and talk to their brothers and sisters and like, relax. You feel me? We do not need white men running around here with guns, guys. That's what I don't want. I do not want to see no white people in here with a gun in their hand. I don't care. Don't come here with it. It's not even I have anything against you. It's just wrong. It's weird. It's the Black Lives Matter protest. Just keep it out of here. You feel me? I need the black brothers and the black leaders to come and talk to them. And talk to them. That whole situation that happened outside the border, us is what was supposed to be there. People get intimidated when they see things they're not supposed to see. When they see us coming towards them, do you know what will change? The whole intentions, you know what I mean? The whole reasons of doing things will change when you're oppressed by your own type of people. But when you feel like you have the upper power and you feel like you're in the top, like a lot of black people do, like me, you feel me? I feel like I'm the shit all the time. Like, that's what I'm saying. And I see some white guy with a gun, that's gonna make me fucking mad. I swear it will. I'm in a Black Lives Matter protest, I see a white man with a gun. And I see a white man with a gun, I'm gonna be furious. I'm gonna wanna start shooting, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, don't do that, guys. We had those guys out here, they were security, they left. That was good for them to leave, you know what I mean? Because shit could have got really dangerous. But if you feel like your service in this chopper, please use it the right way. We need black leaders. We need white bodies to make a difference. You guys should not be here with weapons. You guys should be making and writing letters to the cops if you own guns and tell them that if another black person dies by the hands of the authority, you guys will go at war with them. That's what white people are supposed to do if you care about the black lives that matter. You go to war with your privileges. Black people cannot go to war because they don't want to give us guns because of our color and shit like that. You feel me? It's really hard to get it. I promise you it is. But that's what I'm saying. It's easy for you guys to get a gun, get it, and tell them that this will be war if you keep killing our people. If I'm your people and you love me and you care for me and my safety, you will stand by my side when it's needed, like I will do for you. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Make your message be heard, guys.
This next clip is actually of David Lewis, who I've been mentioning throughout this video. This man gives me a lot of hope if he and his thought process is something that begins to take more hold within the overall movement. And listening to him was a great treat throughout the day.
So I was the person who started the marches that became this CHAZ movement. I represent the people of Seattle. I'm actively out here listening to every individual that I can come in contact with, which, by the way, makes it so hard to get places quickly. But because of that, I genuinely try at every point to represent that message. Do you never have a private meeting? I never have private meetings. I never have private meetings. So what are the goals? I have never had private meetings with the mayor. The goals at this point? Yeah, at this point, yeah. Yeah, I wrote some of this. Yeah. So goals as far as, in general, honestly, my goal is so that 2 generations from now, My goal is that 2 generations from now, my grandson can look at me, can look at a history book and see a picture of George Floyd and look at me in confusion and say, come on, cops used to kill black people? That's my goal. But short time and something a little bit more concrete, qualified immunity needs to be gone. Needs to absolutely be gone. Fundamentally.
What are you going to say? I feel as a black man, I would want my son to ask that question. Just like
Free R. Kelly.
Just like I want my son to back in the day.
Can we get a movement started for R. Kelly? That's just a non-starter, huh?
Are you all going to stay in front of the people?
Yeah, we're protesting. None of our demands, the demands that we have haven't been met.
What demands need to be met for you all to leave?
Personally, I want to see I want to see the 73 officers that are still on the force who have multiple charges against them terminated immediately. That's a sign of faith.
And
that's
the one that beat up my son is named Bradley Richards, and he works out of the 9th Avenue station.
Yeah, if the mayor wants to say that something is radical, or in my opinion, honorable, is ratifying taking away qualified immunity, if she's saying that that's too extreme and out of her jurisdiction, one thing that absolutely is in jurisdiction is handling the officers in her city that are this shitty. Instant termination. That's possible.
What else?
I mean, literally, you have the list.
The funding.
Yeah, absolutely. The defunding, the defunding, and beyond that, the funding of the communities here in Seattle that have been completely taken advantage of, specifically the South Side and the CD. Yeah, those are 2 things that I will not be moving until those get met. I will not stop protesting until those get met. Don't get me wrong. So as a person who's been tear gassed many times since this protest, if they do tear gas us and do the rubber bullets, I promise you, I will probably move, because that is a hard thing to breathe. Physically, I will not stand there. But that by no means does that mean that I stop protesting. I will never stop protesting until our demands are met.
So, as the young man was saying up there a few minutes earlier with the...
Man, look. Some people are out here for the wrong
He said
reason.
there were thousands of people out here, now I can count them all. Why do you think that there are no longer thousands of people out here?
Honestly, I think some people just got scared, which is understandable. And the media has portrayed so much of this environment. It's so negative.
And why did they get scared?
The shooting.
Yeah,
It's called spade.
yeah, it's a shooting. There was a shooting.
You guys know you're
outside the shop.
standing in the presence of an Antifa terrorist,
The
right?
city allowed for those shootings to happen because of these barricades.
I had to ask somebody what it
Before,
was.
the way
That's
the
what they
security
said I
ran
was. So
I
I still don't understand.
For a shooter to come in like that. My name's William Parham.
I'm just a black man fed up.
William Parham. 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 The city is responsible for those shooting days. And the thing that the city doesn't tell you either is that last year around this time, there were shootings at nightclubs, in front of nightclubs, in the same neighborhood.
Speak on it.
Multiple gunshots. And those nightclubs aren't told to move. This neighborhood's not deemed as unsafe by those nightclubs when the shootings happen at the same time of the year. And those shootings are
Because they
not
had a nightclub in downtown Seattle that had black folks music on Saturday night, Sunday night. They had 4 shootings. They closed that motherfucker down.
So let me say, a lot of people come
The,
down there,
it's called the Hollywood Underground.
Black leadership. What does that mean?
Yeah, they shut that shit down.
What does a black leader mean to me? A black leader is literally any black man or black woman that you see. We are all leaders in our community. We are all leaders in our lives. The unique thing that distinguishes a lot of black community versus a lot of European aristocracy, we don't believe in a centralized king or queen. We believe that each of us are unique leaders in our own homes. We are all leaders.
Now, can I tell them what a leader
Fundamentally. Of course, brother. Again, all kings.
How about the ones who met with the mayor today?
Hold on,
So
we're
honestly,
gonna
a lot
explain
of
that to
people-
you right now.
As the people who were in that meeting, I do not know everyone that's at that meeting. Again, as someone who's committed for complete transparency and accountability, I don't go into a meeting unless it's live streamed. So I don't know who's at that meeting.
I was at that meeting, so I can answer your questions for you.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Malcolm.
Yes.
And David knows me.
I do know. This is Malcolm.
He didn't know anybody.
Oh, so I don't know who exactly was in the meeting.
Okay. So what did you think about the meeting?
I think it was bullshit.
Why was it bullshit, Malcolm?
Just
Nothing was going on. That's why. It was bullshit. And then there was a lot of blame trying to be thrown around. It was bullshit. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
So what are the next steps?
Hold on before you get past that meeting. Because if you'd have went in that meeting and asked everybody that has a cash app that has tried to get money for behind Black Lives Matter's back, that fucking meeting would have been empty. We didn't come here to exploit people. We came here to fight with the police. That's why this is so fucked up. Because anytime you bring greed into something like this, it gets fucked up.
That's right.
And that's why this is fucked up.
Yeah.
Them people do not represent Christopher Hunt. They do not represent this. They don't stand for this. They don't stand for what I stand for. And when they spend that goddamn money they collect, then police is still gonna be killing us.
What they say at the meeting.
For black people.
We're here for black people.
They don't stand for what we stand
We're here because
for.
black people matter.
We're here because black people matter, not for Black Lives Matter.
See, this movement here, you can do this for free.
Yeah.
Your presence and your voice is all that's needed.
For free.
That's all that's needed. Leave your wallet at home.
Around the world.
And right now, we really are asking for not just your support and with the live streams, and honestly, support with your bodies. Like, as you have seen, our numbers have
How you
dwindled,
put up a
but our-
sign that says
our conviction has not.
white silence is violence, and then tell white people to shut their mouths? How do you do that?
Well, you just did. Good job.
What you mean?
You told them white silence is violence. Didn't you just say that?
You need somebody's permission to stand up for injustice? Because I don't need nobody's permission.
No.
to stand up.
I'm saying right on to you. I'm saying I'm agreeing with
These
you.
white people gonna come out and fight for me and my people. They got a motherfucking voice. You don't need
It
nobody's
wasn't
fucking
just black
permission.
people that got tear gas with us. Like, it was the whole community.
I got tear gas.
It was,
I got tear gas.
I think
Because
beautiful
I was out
gift.
here.
I think the
My
beautiful
friends
that we
were
got,
there.
the beautiful gift we got with all this tear gas in your face and all this stuff that as we came back every day is the knowledge that our community stands with us.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we got pepper sprayed and shot with bullets, and then the numbers just kept growing. Now it scares me that one shooting outside of CHOP, that one agitation made people scatter this fast. To the media, to all the social of everything that thinks that we are not here, we are telling you, we are still here.
We're out here.
We will be here until this is done. Come back, we love you.
We're out here.
Before I wrap everything up here, I guess I'll touch base on the other shootings that occurred and give my point of view on those. The shootings are kind of weird for me to think through because if you take the first one where it's a meth deal gone bad, it's kind of difficult to put that one on the protest and delegitimize the overall protest with that one. The shooting where the 19-year-old died and the 31-year-old was put in critical care, that happened right outside of CHOP. And there's two theories. One theory going around CHOP is that it was a bunch of white supremacists that came and was trying to cause trouble. The other theory going around CHOP is that these two actually had gang affiliations and it was gang-related violence. David and the other gentleman in the last video touched on the fact that shootings have actually occurred in that area that CHOP is located before CHOP was even a thing. If I didn't go and meet the people there and see that there are a lot of good people slowly becoming leaders within that community and slowly changing things for the better and becoming more peaceful, I would completely say get rid of the whole thing. But going there and meeting those people have changed my mind. 6 years ago, I supported that Bundy family, or whatever their name was, when they took over that national park building because the government was trying to double charge them with a crime. I thought that was completely justified. So I feel now it's sort of hypocritical if I'm not supporting these people who are trying their damnedest right now to keep everything peaceful. So the big question is, going on this trip, do I support CHOP? And the answer is kind of. I support it if the people that are beginning to have influence within that community continue to do so and are able to keep it peaceful. As long as there's no more shootings, I don't think there's going to be that big of a call to end everything by the citizens of Seattle. But yeah, I guess I support it as long as the people that I see slowly becoming leaders and slowly getting this thing organized continue to do that. It's a very weirdly decentralized organic movement, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of troubles, or could lead to a lot of troubles. But if people like David Lewis and the people in the community that think like him are able to continue to gain more influence, I believe that they are definitely going to be able to keep that situation peaceful in the morning hours between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The nighttime stuff, I can't report on it. I have no idea what's going on in there other than the things I heard about the nighttime shootings. So yeah, that's my report on CHOP. I hope things can remain peaceful there, and I hope that they can bring about actual change when it comes to police brutality and the prison industrial complex. If you like the video, go ahead, like it, share, subscribe. If you don't want to do any of those things, I guess I'll go fuck myself. That's fine. Have a nice day.